Well, welcome back. We are in topic 6 this time. The world goes to war. Big calamities, everything's clashing all over the place. We want to look at just the precursors in this week, kind of look at some of the things that sort of set things up. We've looked at some of them, but I want to go a little bit deeper because I need you to all put on your Sherlock Holmes hats and pipe. And so here we go. Have you ever had a pet? You walk into the room and the place is just tore up and they give you this little puppy dog look in your face and they kind of like going like, I didn't do nothing, the cat did it, or something like that. And you're kind of wondering, what in the world happened, right? Well, we're going to treat World War I much like that kind of experience. We are going to forensically treat it as a crime scene. We're going to look at it with our detective sort of spectacles and ideas and our notebooks, and we're going to look at the motives and the evidence and the things that are in front of us, and then look back and see, what could have led up to that? What things could have fueled that? Who had the motive to do what, when, where, and why? So that's what we're going to do. Crime scene, as I said, is World War I. This takes place in July. It triggers off in July 1914. Austria-Hungary declares war on Serbia in July. By August 1st, Germany's involved. It's declared war on many other different countries, Russia, Belgium, France. As a result, Russia goes over and declares war on Austria-Hungary and Germany, while Britain goes over and declares war on Germany. Austria-Hungary declares war on Russia, back and forth, blah, blah, blah. Japan decides it's going to jump in on it, even though it's on the other side of the continent. It's going to jump in because it's going to go to war with Germany. The Ottoman Empire, oh yeah, well, you can't leave them out. They're going to jump in too. Russia, France, and Britain, they declare war back on Ottoman Empire. Italy decides finally it's going to join the war. It's not going to sit there on Germany's side and kind of play neutral. No. It wants to win, so it's going to join the Allied forces, and they're going to be a part of the France and Britain. And then the United States finally in 1917, they decide to declare war against Germany, supposedly because Germany sunk one of a passenger ship with a lot of Americans on it. Whew! What a mess. The crime scene's all out. Blood is everywhere. The gun, the knife, the rifle, everything is lying all over the place. Glass is splattered. Who has done what, when, where, and why? Aha! Time to go be a historical detective. And that's what we're going to be doing this week, next week, all the way until the end of the school year. So, without much more, we're going to look at it. Well, what do we got to do? What does it take to be a historical detective? Well, first, you really need to collect the facts. Only the facts, folks. Not feeling, not gut, not conspiracy theory, just what are the facts? What do we know? What can we put a stamp on and say, yes, that is absolutely true? Got to look for it. So we're going to begin with motive. Now, if you're not familiar with World War I yet, there were two primary antagonists, I guess you can call it that. Germany and Austria-Hungary, these two big empires, they have risen up. They have declared war. Austria-Hungary really is trying to get the Balkan states down in Serbia. That's south of Austria-Hungary. But before you get to the Ottoman Empire. Well, the Ottoman Empire has an interest in that too, so they're going to join forces as well. So you have that side against Britain, France, Italy eventually, Russia, and eventually the United States. Japan is off on the other side. They're doing their bit to frustrate the Germans as well. So stop for a moment. You got to stop when you're doing history. You got to stop and say, who's gaining from this? Who's motivated by this? And why? What is their gain? What is their potential gain? Let's put it that way. And that goes back to our cycle again. What is the situation? What do they want to achieve? What opportunities are there? What are some of the problems? Well, we might have to go to war, but hey, if we go to war, we might beat them. Here's our plan. Here's our choices. And it creates new situations. That's old. We've been doing that since the beginning of the year. But in this case, you have a major world event, and you want to look at the situation. You got to look at it from a lot of different perspectives. So that's our first step, is looking at motives. Who might have the motive to do what? Every single person, every single player, United States, Japan, Germany, Austria-Hungary, Serbia, all of these folks have a motive that is uniquely theirs. It doesn't belong to anybody else. No country is going to sacrifice all of their time, their energy, their money, their manpower, their lives, because they are just really super generous and want to give lots to other people. Everybody has a selfish motive or a selfish route to their decision making. And that's what this whole thing is about. That's what Machiavelli was talking about. So, motive. You want to look at motive. As we're working through all this, what was the motive? And if you remember, in the last time we got together and we were looking at imperialism, new imperialism at the very end of the 1800s, going into the first part of the 1900s. China was the big piece of the pie. Everybody, there's a grand prize. You got to get it. And we ended with this particular slide because everybody, it seemed to have a piece of the pie or want a piece of the pie, and had conflicts or agreements, handshakes, alliances, disagreements, fights, wars, areas that they both wanted to grab, all kind of jumbled all up together. And that made for a very precarious sort of world. One little misstep, somebody decides they're not going to follow through or do something, they're going to make a decision, and it's going to trickle into all these other little spider web connections, these networks, global networks. So what could be some of the things that led up to? What were some of the things that may have helped motivate some of these countries? Well, we talked about the new imperialism already. Along with that, we talked about social Darwinism and that idea of nationalism, the survival of the fittest, the nation who has got to have the most, be on top, be the top dog. We talked about that. But two more that we need to talk about. One is the Second Industrial Revolution, which hits in the 1880s and really hits in the 1890s into the 1900s. That's going to have a huge impact on the movement, catalyzing the countries and the nations and empires to go to war. And then, of course, modern capitalism. And we're going to look at that perhaps next week. This week, I just want to focus in on the Second Industrial Revolution. That one is that is the topic of our next segment. And we're going to let you take a quick break for a minute. If you don't know some of these things that are on here, you're not familiar with World War I, time period, whatever, who's involved, go look it up. Go look it up. Go YouTube it. And then come back and watch part 2, the Second Industrial Revolution.